directly in front of me where these woods are once was Steve's Motel. And just by looking at these woods, you would have no idea what was once here or its history. You see, Steve's Motel opened in 1937 and in its early days was a safe and a comfortable place for families and travelers to stop. Certainly when there was no highways or byways, it was an easy place to take a rest for the night. But as the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s wore on, times had changed, and Steve's Motel went from being a comfortable place with about 20 or so odd cabins that you could stay in to, for lack of a better term, a decrepit hellhole. And in our story, in the late 1980s, comes the story of the Patel family. Maher Patel was a tool and die maker from Chicago who was originally from India. And in the late 1980s, he decided that he wanted to be his own boss, something that a lot of us can relate to. I know I certainly can. And not only did he want to be his own boss, he wanted to have more time with his family. So he saw the opportunity to purchase this motel, and he did. But then something happened, and that is that on Monday, the 21st of October, 1991, the office clerk who was working in the nearby office that was adjacent to the motel property noticed that the school bus had come and went without incident. 6-year-old Alka, the daughter of the Patels, never got on the school bus, and even stranger than that, Mr. Patel never walked from his residence on the side of the property to the ticket office, the main part of the motel. He never brought the cash box that morning. And the clerk thought that when you combine all of those factors together, that something really didn't seem right. So the clerk walked over to the Patel residence, which was on the property, and found that the door was unlocked. The clerk walked in, and in the living room was the contents of the cash box that had been strewn all across the floor, and Mrs. and Mr. Patel had been executed. Upstairs, the clerk found the body of 6-year-old Alka, who had been tucked in the night before by her parents. Possibly the last moments of peace that the family had was reading her a story and tucking her into bed. But the American dream that the Patels had and had longed for ended sometime between that Sunday and that early hours of that Monday. And in the decades that have come and went since that day in 1991, there have been few leads, and the case remains unsolved. I feel that it's worth mentioning that as time has gone on, originally police believed that in all likelihood it was a robbery, it was a crime of opportunity. Unfortunately, the mall, being a rent-by-the-hour type place, they had some seedy guests, and it stands to reason that perhaps some of them saw an opportunity at that house on the edge of the property. But as time has gone on, police don't think that that was likely what happened. You see, even though the contents of the cash box were strewn around the property and most of it had gone missing, there was still another $2,000 or so in the house. And that being said, they were fairly methodical in the fact that they executed the husband and the wife, Mr. and Mrs. Patel, and then made their way upstairs, walking down the hallway and shooting an innocent 6-year-old girl as she slept. With all that combined, police now think that it was likely a professional hit. Despite that, it's still remained unsolved.